Fire Flower. Remember that post I made about a year ago? That was for the century. Anyways, the Fire Flower are mostly found in Cool Mountain and Snowman's Land, as well as other anomalous snow courses. When collected, the player could shoot fireballs that look like this. And these fireballs can melt ice, which should be obvious. This power-up probably functions like how it does in Mario Galaxy, with it being on a timer. Ice Flower. The Ice Flower is a power-up that first appeared in New Super Mario Bros. Wii as an opposite to the Fire Flower, being a power-up that allows the player to shoot ice balls that would freeze enemies and put out fires. Well, obviously. While the Ice Flower usually appears in ice levels, the Ice Flower appears in fire levels like Lethal Lava Land, Bowser in the Fire Sea, and other anomalous fire courses. The Frog Suit. The Frog Suit is a power-up that first appeared in Super Mario Bros. 3, being a power-up that lets the player jump high and swim faster. The power-up was supposed to appear in Super Mario 64, specifically the water levels. The power-up works as it did in the original game, except the player gets infinite air when underwater due to not needing to worry about air in Super Mario Bros. 3. Unlocking this power-up requires the player to complete a level known as Frog Cap in the Flooded Tunnel. This area is similar to Vanish Cap under the moat, being a large cavern filled with water, which requires the Frog Cap, and getting to the end of the tunnel rewards the player with the Frog Cap power-up. Gold Mario. Despite being a power-up, Gold Mario can also be reported as a boss fight, and when defeating it, report the player with the Gold Mario power-up and a star. The boss acts like the player, having the same moves as Mario. Completing the boss fight can reward the player with, the star, a new ending, an extra difficulty, a final level, or the Gold Mario power-up. The power-up itself works very similar to Metal Mario, with having the ability to sink in water, having heavier physics, and being immune to fire damage. However, the new abilities include dealing enough damage to instantly defeat enemies upon contact, sinking into lava like quicksand, and having sparkles surrounding the player when triple jumping. The ways I'm unlocking this include just activating the metal cap and it can be there, replacing it, or defeating Gold Mario boss fight. And after unlocking this power, a new type of stars introduced called the Golden Stars that act like green stars from Super Mario Galaxy. Or they can just unlock a stage called Golden Gardens, which is described as a linear Bowser-like stage. The Hammer Cap. The Hammer Suit is a power-up that first appeared in Super Mario Bros. 3. The power-up supposedly appears in Mario 64. The way of unlocking this ability requires the player to defeat a Hammer Bros. Boss fight or clearing a level that unlocks the power-up. The level is named Hammer Down Dam. The reason for that is because the level takes place, in a dam. The water is murky and is said to act like ice water, which damages the player faster when swimming in it. You have to traverse through the dam with the hammer cap to activate the cap switch. Ninja Mario. Ninja Mario is a supposed hidden item such as the laser suit hoax from Super Mario World. The abilities of the power-up are using katanas to attack enemies, jumping higher than normal, and the ability to throw shurikens. The way to unlock this power-up is unknown, but some say it's going behind the mirror, then jumping into a painting, leave the game running for an entire day, linking the game to a Nintendo 64 DD or disk drive, then apparently it unlocks the power-up. However, the disk drive version of Super Mario 64 was found and, what a surprise, the power-up isn't in it. In fact, it's just Super Mario 64 but with high-resolution textures and slightly different music. P-Wing Cap. The P-Wing is a power-up that first appeared in Super Mario Bros. 3, usually as a cheat ability when struggling in a level. Apparently, the P-Wing was going to be in Super Mario 64. The P-Wing Cap works like the regular wing cap, except that the player can fly one direction without losing speed. This cap is apparently an alternate version of the wing cap. Even the way the player unlocks it is the same. When going to the wing Mario in the sky after collecting all 120 stars, there's a chance that the switch will be replaced with a shiny red switch, and stepping on it unlocks it. Phantasm Cap. The Phantasm Cap is an anomalous power-up that is said to be similar to the Vanish Cap, but the player can pass through even more things when wearing this cap, and can even levitate for a short amount of time. However, the player is damaged by light similar to the Boom Mushroom from Mario Galaxy. The way to unlock this power-up is to get a Ghoul Medal and then enter the Vanish Cap onto the mode, and the Vanish Cap switch should go from blue to white, and pressing this switch unlocks the Phantasm Cap. But the other two ways include finding a newer version of Vanish Cap under the mode somehow, and finding a secret basement in Big Boo's haunt, which reportedly resembles the Big Boo battle area from the DS remake. The Purple Box. It's not really a specific power-up, but is described as an anomalous type of the regular boxes, except, well, it's purple. These purple boxes can be found anywhere in the game, replacing the regular yellow boxes. When broken, items such as the Fire Flower, Safety Cap, and other anomalous collectibles like discolored stars or entirely unique items can be found. Rainbow Cap. The Rainbow Cap is an anomalous power-up that acts similarly to the Metal Cap and the Koopa Shell. The power-up itself makes the player invincible and the ability to walk underwater without the Metal Mario physics. Also, when pressing the Z button, the player can accelerate. This power-up is super unstable though, usually causing the game to crash. This power-up can be unlocked in the 4th floor, or it can just replace the Metal Cap. Safety Cap. The Safety Cap is an anomalous power-up that gives the player a hard hat and other construction gear, which loosely makes the player immune to crushing attacks like Thwomps and Whomps. It also gives the player a grappling hook. Well, yeah, you can probably guess what that does. The power-up itself is unlocked through the stage called Safety Cap in the Sight, which is usually described as a construction site in the sky. And when beating this level, the Safety Cap is unlocked. Tanooki Cap. The Tanooki suit first appeared in Super Mario Bros. 3 and was apparently supposed to appear in Super Mario 64. The power-up works as it does in Super Mario Bros. 3, allowing the player to fly, use the tail attack, and even transform into a statue when he ground pounds, which behaves like Metal Mario. The ability is unlocked in a stage called Forest of the Tanooki Cap that resembles the Goomba boss battle from Super Mario 64 DS, possibly being an early version of that level, but instead of a boss, it's just a cap switch. There's really nothing else, however. The poisonous gas in this level is replaced with water. Lightning Cap. The Lightning Cap is an anomalous power-up that is said to be an upgraded version of the Rainbow Cap. The Lightning Cap still has all of the abilities of the Rainbow Cap, except that the lightning is weak to water, with it damaging the player, shocking the player, or just removing the cap. This cap is supposed to have the ability to climb walls, but when attempting to use it, the game tends to crash. The way to unlock this power-up is through a level titled Wing Cap in the Thunderstorm, which consists of large metal structures and lakes. And when getting to the top, the cap switch is there, and activating it grants the player with the Lightning Cap. Whether or not the Lightning Cap is upgraded to the Rainbow Cap is up to interpretation. Mini Mushroom. The Mini Mushroom is a power-up that first appeared in New Super Mario Bros. Apparently, Super Mario 64 was supposed to have this power-up. These power-ups can be found in small blue boxes and have movements similar to the 1-ups. This item acts as it does in the New Super Mario Bros. Series, floatier jumps, weakened attacks, and less health. The way to unlock this power-up is by breaking away a wall in Tiny Huge Island, but which wall is unknown. Poison Mushroom. While technically being a power down instead of a power up, the poison mushroom is said to be an anomalous object that takes the place of regular 1-up mushrooms. The poison mushroom will relentlessly chase the player, but instead of giving a life, it takes a life. Or it can just take some damage, or even make the player enter a dizzy state, which can cause the player's controls to be inverted, or can cause the player to slowly lose health. Big Bully's Key. The Big Bully's Key is an anomalous object that can be found in the volcano of Lethal Lava Land after defeating a big bully. However, the wiki states that the way of getting the key is by defeating a big bully in other levels that they normally don't appear in, such as Blasting Bullet Factory, Bowser in the Fire Sea, and other lava courses. The function of this object is to, open the doors. The doors that it can possibly open include many places in the basement, the door to Lethal Lava Ruins, the back of the courtyard, a door behind Dire Dire Doc's portal, the stone structure in Bowser in the Fire Sea, somewhere along the hills of Snowman's Land, the cabins in Cool Cool Mountain, the ice structures in Snowman's Land, and the inside of the igloo. I don't know how a key would unlock half of those things, but whatever, it's not even real. Special coins. Special coins are coins that are different colors and have different effects on the player, and I will list all of them off now. The first is the green coin. These coins don't add to the coin counter, but they instead add 3 health. Next are the orange coins. These coins count as 0.5 coins and add 2 health. Next are the purple coins, also known as the poison coins, and you could probably guess what they do. They subtract a coin from the counter and 1 health. And next are the clear coins. These coins are invisible and can only be collected via the vanish cap. Next are the pink coins. These coins add 10 coins to the coin counter and fully refill the health bar. Next are the white coins. These coins are the size of blue coins. The coins crash the game when collected. It's unknown why this happens. It's like those coins in B3313. I'm gonna make a video on that soon, but whatever. Anyways, next are the metal coins. These coins act like boxes and cannot be collected as regular coins. All you can do is pick them up and throw them. Next are the cyan coins. These coins run away from the player, and when collected, grants the player with 10 coins. Next are the rainbow coins. These coins add 10 coins to the coin counter and fill up the health bar. However, a second use is rarely seen. These coins act as red coins and are hidden in very cryptic spots, and when collected all 5, a star spawns. And last are the sky blue coins, and are found in Princess Peach's castle and are purely aesthetic. Count the amount of times I've said coin in this video, oh my god. The Eternal Star. The Eternal Star is a giant star that appears in the courtyard as a statue. Some people say that the star that is collected at the end of Bowser in the Sky is the Eternal Star. However, in heavily personalized copies, the Eternal Star is instead the 121st star and can unlock Luigi when collected. The way to collect this anomalous object is by going through a difficult course, but this level is unknown. And if I were to guess, I'd say that the level is the Eternal Fort because of the name similarities and because of how mysterious the Eternal Fort is. Nightlight. The Nightlight is a statue of the moon that is similar to the Eternal Star statue. The way to unlock this statue is by beating the Starry Night Skies, specifically in the Electronic Gaming Monthly test cartridge. When unlocking this anomaly, the statue gets replaced with a navy blue moon with white eyes, which acts like a power star. And when collecting this moon, the player gets kicked to the file select screen, and then a new button will appear that toggles night mode. When toggling night mode, all skyboxes turn into a night theme, and the music changes into a music box-like sound font. Trampoline. The trampoline is an unused object found in the cap switch stage's object table. The object has collision but has no functionality. This object being in the cap switch stage object table implies that it would have been in an unused cap switch stage, like possibly the yellow cap or maybe one of the other power-ups that I listed before, maybe if they were real or whatever. Goomba Anomalies. Mystery Goomba. The Mystery Goomba is an anomalous enemy found in Bowser in the Sky. On this part of the level, there are 2 Goombas, but there are supposed to be 3. Though for a split second, you can notice that there is a 3rd Goomba in the Death Zone. If you want more detail on this entry, Panenkoic 2012 goes into better detail and can explain it better than I ever could. Enemy discoloration. This is going to be a recurring theme in these enemies. Anyways, I will list all of the colors that supposedly appear. The first is the blue Goomba, which appears in cavern-like levels and also references the underground color schemes in the original Mario Bros. The second is the gray Goomba that can be found in Bowser levels that references the castle color scheme in, well, the original Super Mario Bros. The next is the red Goomba, which are faster and turn around faster, which means they follow the player more efficiently. Next is the yellow Goomba, which don't try to chase the player, they just ignore them, I guess. Next is the purple Goomba, which will flee from the player instead of chasing them. Next is the orange Goomba, which acts like a regular Goomba, but burns the player upon contact. Next is the teal Goomba, which acts like a regular Goomba, but they take multiple hits to defeat. And when they have 1 hit point left, they flee like the purple Goomba. And finally is the white Goomba, which can dig through the ground and jump out randomly like the Monty moles. Spike helmets. Apparently, Goombas can wear spiked shells on their heads that resemble the Spiny shell. When the players touch to jump on it, it causes them to take damage, requiring a punch or kick to defeat them. Goomba Tower. Goomba Towers first officially appeared in Super Mario 3D Land. However, this formation is said to appear in Super Mario 64. This tower can be 4 to 6 Goombas tall, requiring the player to knock them down by punching and kicking. A star can reportedly spawn when defeating all of these Goombas, named Goomba Tower Takedown. This star counts as a castle's secret star, or that's what I'd assume. Floating Goombas. The floating Goombas first appeared in Super Mario 3D World, and only appeared in Super Mario 3D World. These Goombas can reportedly be found in Super Mario 64. These Goombas float in water with little floaties, but they act like normal Goombas. If I were to guess, I'd say that these enemies would appear in Tiny Huge Island, because that's where Goombas and water appear. However, some say that these Goombas can appear floating in lava as well, but this has yet to be confirmed. Paragoomba. The Paragoombas are enemies that first appeared in Super Mario Bros. 3. These enemies are most commonly found in Rainbow Ride, but can also appear in Bob-omb Battlefield. The behavior of this enemy changes throughout reports. While some say it's a simple reskin, while others say that it can fly in a fixed pattern, while others report that they fly freely around the level and chase the player when they enter their range. Bob-omb Anomalies. Enemy discoloration. The first is the pink Bob-omb, which have been reported to appear in regular Bob-omb levels, such as Bob-omb Battlefield, Tick-Tock Clock, if they appear there. I don't know. This enemy uses the same texture of the Bob-omb Buddy, which makes the player think that it's just a regular Bob-omb Buddy, but when in reality it's a Bob-omb that just explodes right in their face when they get close to it. This means that the AI is quite the troll, if you tell me. They're quite silly. Next are the blue Bob-ombs, which when they explode, bubbles splash out of them, which were possibly intended for water levels, even though they don't appear there, because like water bubbles, you know, okay, shut up.
Next are the red Bob-ombs that are covered in spikes that typically appear in lava levels that shoot spikes when exploding. Next are the orange Bob-ombs that burn the player upon exploding. And lastly are the white Bob-ombs that don't damage the player upon exploding, so they just explode without doing any damage. That's weird. So what's the point of them? Hats. Apparently, Bob-omb buddies can appear black in personalized copies like the rest of the Bob-ombs. However, these NPCs can be told apart from their hats that resemble patrol caps worn by military personnel. Disarming. Apparently, in some personalized copies, if the player picks up then immediately puts down the Bob-omb, then it would be unable to explode, then goes back to their normal activities. Nothing more to that. Koopa Anomalies. First is the blue Koopa, which doesn't drop its shell when defeated and is also a reference to the Super Mario Bros. Underground stage theme. Color palette, I guess. And the second is the red Koopa, which drops a kickable shell that can bounce off walls and damage enemies. But you can't fool me, I know this is just an unused enemy in Super Mario 64 DS. Yeah, you silly goober, you think you could get me? Piranha Anomalies. Enemy discoloration. First is the blue piranha plant, which are like the blue Goomba that only appear in cavernous levels and references the underground color scheme from Super Mario Bros. Again. Next is the green piranha plant, which spits fire like the ones in Tiny Huge Island, but the existence of this one is debatable. Finally is the purple piranha plant, which damages the player over time after contacts, like poison. Faster sleep. Apparently, if a player falls asleep next to a piranha plant, they fall asleep faster, and they get teleported to a level called Mario's Dream. That's it. That's literally it. I'd explained Mario's Dream, but I did levels last time, so I'm not going to do it again. Bullet Bill Anomalies. Torpedo Ted. Torpedo Ted is an enemy that first appeared in Super Mario World. These enemies supposedly appear in Super Mario 64 that are fired from cannons by the submarine that acts like regular bullet bills. They appear in Dire Docks. Well, it's the only stage with the submarine in it, so obviously. And they'll be fired underwater, because that's what they do. Bomp Anomalies. Enemy discoloration. The blue Bomp, also known as the sleeping Bomp, is inactive until the player steps in front of them. Then they wake up and start to rapidly push. And no, I'm not gonna Photoshop a little picture because I don't care about these enemies and I did not know their name before writing this script. Thwomp Anomalies. Silent Thwomps. For some reason, people claim that the sound that Thwomps make doesn't play whenever it activates. This is probably a glitch, but who knows? Maybe it's the spooky AI. This is stupid. Modern Thwomps. Apparently, people have claimed that instead of the blue blocks that they are in the original game, they can look like how they do in the modern games, with them being gray and with spikes on them. And they probably work how they do in B3313, which is a really cool hack that I might make a video on someday. Ooh, sneak peek. Enraged Thwomp. Some players claim that their Thwomps are red and are much more active. And some even claim that the Thwomps chase the player when they are in range. Sleeping Thwomp. This entry is similar to the blue Bomps, which is the enemy discoloration. When the player is far away from the Thwomps, they aren't active, but when the player is in a certain distance, the Thwomps become active and go into their enraged state and turn red and chase after the player and blah 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 blah. Thwomp Anomalies. Enemy discoloration. First are the blue Whomps, which send shockwaves when face planting, and next are the red Thwomps that spawn in groups of 2 to 8 and give the player a red coin when defeated. Beta Whomps. While the Whomps we see today are bluish gray, they have red eyes and big mouths. Back then, in early versions of the game, they were more purple and had little dot eyes, big cartoony angry eyebrows, and silly angry pouty mouths. In fact, the hands of this beta model are on the final model, and whether it's an oversight or not is unknown. I find it strange that they left this on there. Unagi Anomalies. Early model. In the files of Super Mario 64, an early model of the Unagi can be found. The model is very basic, with its body being plain yellow, and it also looks a lot more goofy than scary. I personally see this as more of a placeholder textured model, because there's no way that was originally planned to be in the final game. Mr. Blizzard Anomalies. Melting. In some personalized copies, people have reported that snowmen have the ability to melt into water. This is probably a remnant of the unused fire ability, because I don't know what else this would be used for. It's not like they would appear in a fire level. Unique designs. While the snowmen in the final game have, well, nothing but an arm with a glove on it, many personalized copies have the snowmen wear scarves and top hats that have carrot noses and other basic snowmen traits that you'd see in like a cartoon. Boo Anomalies. Boo Hordes. In anomalous courses like Big Boost Forest, people have reported boos spawning in large groups. These can either spawn normally or they can spawn after defeating a big boo fight. Tongues. Some people report that boos have fully modeled tongues in their model that they use to possibly mock the player. That's it. It's like the boo buddies from Super Mario World, where some of them, you know, they have their tongues and stuff. Whatever. There's not a lot to this. Anyways. Enemy discoloration. First is the pink boo, which can spawn a platform upon defeat. Next is the red boo, which can reverse the player's controls when they damage them. Next is the yellow boo, which shocks the player upon contact and can only be defeated via the metal cap. Next is the black boo, which explodes when defeated. Next is the gray boo, which hides in small spaces and rewards the player when found. Well, that's actually the last one. God damn it. Why am I bad at writing scripts? Mad Piano Anomalies. Enemy discoloration. First are the brown pianos, which can be defeated with a ground pound, and finally are the purple pianos, which lunge towards the player, making it harder to escape them. Negative emotional aura. Similarly to Wet Dry World, the Mad Piano also gives off negative emotions of dread and discomfort, probably because they relentlessly chase the player when they come into range, or because of the sound it makes while chasing the player. Defeating. In the Super Mario 64 section of the Nintendo Power Player's Guide, it states that the Mad Piano can be defeated, but with no explanation. However, this is a false statement, as any attacks result with the player taking damage. However, in the DS remake, this rumor lives on. If you somehow enter Big Boo's haunt as Yoshi, you can use eggs to stun the Mad Piano, allowing Yoshi to ground pound it and defeat it once and for all. But this, again, is probably false. Mr. Eye Anomalies. Red Eye. People have reported that the iris is red instead of blue. This version of Mr. Eye requires more spins to defeat, and the projectiles can be replaced with glitched objects that aren't supposed to be shot out, And the big Mr. I can also have a red iris, which goes as you would think. Watery Mr. I. Apparently, Mr. I can feature tears that shoot out while they are spinning, but they don't do any damage. But when they aren't defeated, the tears can make ponds, which makes Mario slippery. That's it. Variants. When Mr. I appears in different levels, they have different behaviors and looks. Like how they can appear in Jolly Roger Bay and have an eye patch on them, but they don't attack and you can't really defeat them, so they're basically useless. They can have magnifying glasses, which makes their projectiles bigger and faster, and sometimes they have eyelids that prevent them from spinning. Moving eye. In some reports, Mr. I isn't stationary like he is in the final game, but can follow Mario, making him hard to defeat. However, this movement is very buggy because he can get stuck on walls, and he can fall through the floor. He can just stop randomly, and even can teleport back to spawn. Scuttlebug Anomalies. Environment reaction. In haunted levels such as Big Boo's Haunt or Hazy Maze Cave, scuttlebugs can hang from the ceilings and lunge towards the players when approached, like Buzzy Beetles from Super Mario World. However, these are the only two levels that they appear in, and they don't do any of these things. Scuttlebug Cavern. Scuttlebug Cavern is an anomalous level that consists of several square-like rooms filled with scuttlebugs. There's also a reported area that is a maze from Hazy Maze Cave, but without the safe spots. Then you have to face off against Queen Scuttlebug, which is a boss, but of course, with a common theme in anomalous levels, the boss fight is never explained. Scuttlebug Jamboree. The Scuttlebug Jamboree is a very rare event where tons of scuttlebugs spawn throughout Hazy Maze Cave, and they throw a fucking party where they drink and I don't know. Monty Mole Anomalies. Bomber Moles. Bomber moles are versions of Monty moles that throw bomb-ombs instead of rocks. Rocky Wrench. Rocky Wrenches first appeared in Super Mario Bros. 3 and supposedly appear in Super Mario 64. These alternate versions of Monty moles throw straight moving wrenches instead of rocks and come out of manholes. Swooper Anomalies. Enemy discoloration. The only alternate colors that swoopers can have is the green swooper, which is a reference to their Super Mario World appearance. That's it. Bully Anomalies. Enemy discoloration. First are the cyan bullies, which use the chill bullies texture and are basically chill bullies. Purple bullies use the Chuckya texture and look super cool. And then there's the red bullies, which are faster and burn the player upon contact. Back Down. Back Down is an unused animation where bullies put their feet in the air, presumably after they run into Mario or something. Flamethrower Anomalies. Enemy discoloration. Can you even consider this an enemy? Whatever, the fires just blue instead of red. The only reason I included this is because it looked cool. Klepto Anomalies. Anomalous objects. Klepto can apparently hold many glitched objects like a blue star, but I already talked about it. Goombas that they can apparently drop onto the player, and other glitched objects like shells and coins. Pokey Anomalies. Headless. Some people claim that Pokies spawn without a head and they move spastically, making them impossible to defeat. But can't you just hit all of the body parts and then it'll disappear? Or will they just endlessly regenerate? Whatever, I don't really care. Cactus Variant. People have reported that Pokies are made up of the unused cactus texture, matching their Super Mario Bros. 2 counterpart. This is kind of like an enemy discoloration, but I refuse to do any more of those. Negative emotional aura. Many players report feeling afraid of Pokey, and I can definitely see why. He has the eyes of a FNAF character and is consistently looking at the player and does not fit the jolly charm of the game. In fact, I like the beta version of the Pokeys more because they look stupid, but they're goofy and they have charm. Tox Box Anomalies. Emotional Aura. Apparently, players have reported having a sudden change in temper depending on what side crushes them, like when they're crushed by the angry side, they get sudden rage, and so on. Different shapes. In personalized copies, Tox boxes can appear as circles, cylinders, donuts, triangles, rectangles, and flat surfaces, and even irregular 3D shapes, and they move accordingly. Cap interactions. Apparently, the Tox box can have different interactions with the caps in the game, like when wearing the metal cap, the player can reportedly defeat the Tox box. When wearing the wing cap, it will immediately wear off when inside the Tox box. When wearing the vanish cap, the player will stick to the ground when squished and will have to mash buttons to escape. Moneybags Anomalies. Hungry Moneybags. The Hungry Moneybags are anomalous versions of moneybags that eat coins and get bigger, and when defeated, they drop the coins that they ate. Chuckya Anomalies. King Chuckya. King Chuckya is an anomalous version of Chuckya that is similar to how a bully is to a big bully. The King Chuckya usually takes more than one hit to defeat, and they drop a star when defeated. Laugh. After throwing the player, some say that the Chuckya reuses the laugh that King Bob-omb does. That's it. Lakitu Anomalies. Bomber Lakitus. Bomber Lakitus are anomalous versions of regular Lakitus that drop Bob-ombs instead of spiny eggs. Lakithundr. The Lakithundrs first appeared in New Super Mario Bros. For the DS, but they were originally supposed to appear in New Super Mario 64. The Lakithundrs work as they did in the original game, with them hovering around and occasionally shooting lightning bolts. The Lakithundr is a boss apparently seen in Tall Mountain, and takes 3 hits to defeat, just like in New Super Mario Bros. Spiny Anomalies. Buzzy Beetles. Buzzy Beetles first appeared in Super Mario Bros. 3 and were going to appear in Super Mario 64. These enemies would have been reskins of Spinies, but except you can jump on them and kick their shells. And they would have dark blue shells as well. Complete Face. Spinies reportedly have a complete face in the files that can appear in personalized copies, but instead they are just soulless, disgusting little creatures. Chain Chomp Anomalies. Small version. In some reports, chain chomps can appear smaller and deal less damage, and usually appear in other levels like Chomp Caverns, Whomp's Fortress, Tall Mountain, etc. Freed Chain Chomp. After completing the Behind the Chomp's Gate Star, the Chain Chomp can apparently roam free around the stage. When it spots the player or other enemies, it chases after them. This behavior is very similar to the Silver Star mission in Super Mario 64 DS. Rideable Chain Chomp. Upon freeing the Chain Chomp, if the player jumps on a certain spot, they can ride the Chain Chomp. When riding, the player is invincible, however, there's a reported time limit, and when the time runs out, the Chain Chomp flies away, never to be seen again. And that will do it for today. I'm sorry I didn't talk about the personalization only enemies. It's just I did not expect the enemy anomalies to take so long, and that wasn't even all of them. I had to cut some of them just so this video wasn't an hour long. But I still hope you enjoyed it and will stick around for the next part and probably the final part, and it's crazy to say that because this series has been going on for almost a year and it's 5 episodes so far, and it's honestly just crazy to me that this series has gotten so far, even if not a lot of people have watched them. Moving forward, I am going to do stuff a little bit different, like reviewing games like ROM hacks of Super Mario 64 and like Mario Kart and the new Super Mario Bros. Series, and maybe some other weird horror games that I decide to cover. But that's enough of me for today, and remember, stay silly, goobers.